Hey SS Challenger, my name is Coach Counterplay. I will do your requested VOD review. Normally I skim through your student comment request very quickly, but you didn't fill out anything, so we don't have to do that now. Let's get over your PGG for a second as well. So you're in Yasuo 1 track, how it looks like, even while you try to mix it up a little bit in your last few games. Your overall KDA is pretty good, your overall win rate is pretty good with 61%. Your win rate in your last 20 ranked matches isn't that great. I guess the win rate is a little bit inflated because of the climb, I assume. Like, let's see where you started. Actually, it shouldn't be so inflated just because of the climb. Yeah, but that's good that the win rate is decent. Your KDA, you just die a little bit too often. You should work on that. And your CSing seems a little bit inconsistent and not really what we want it to be. But okay. And it seems like you're rarely changing your trinket, and you never buy the sweeping trinket. Which is actually pretty meta on the mid lane at the moment, so you might want to research that a little bit. But let's get into the game. You are red side Yasuo. Your team comp is not really providing a lot of knockups. You only have Janna, so you have to be smart in the way you're playing to make things worthwhile. Okay, and the bush. There's some stuff going on, covering the red. That's fine, obviously. Okay, so you're playing against the new Swain. The new Swain has very, very little wave clear, so you can take control over the lane pretty easily. Oh, you should be able to do it pretty easily. You should know his cooldowns on his Q, right? It's 7 seconds at the moment. You should have a basic idea about all the cooldowns on mid lane of all the champions. And if you don't have that yet, I would recommend you just in champs in the loading screen. Just go on League of Legends Wiki, on Mobile Fire, on I think on Champion GG, like a lot of websites. Just pick one and then look at the cooldowns after opponent's champion spells, just so you know how big are the windows where you can actually trade them properly. Because in this, like, we see that Swain wants to use his Q to farm, right? Because this is his only way of controlling the lane. And you can, like, use these moments where his Q is on cooldown, because 7 seconds is a long window to step up and pressure him away a little. This makes it harder for him to CS and allows you just to use your Q not only for one last hit, but to pierce it for multiple targets. And this way you can wave clear better, and so the danger of landing under the tower against Swain, which is obviously annoying because then he can free poke you, it's reduced, or it's not so easy for him to push you under. And in addition, you might as well your level 2 is not as delayed, and you might actually get a push out yourself. And obviously, when you can push Swain under his tower, eventually he will have to spend a lot of mana to get to do flawless CSing under the tower, which is weakening him again and makes your life incredible, way more easier. So yeah, play around opponent's cooldowns. That's pretty much the summary. Okay, interesting Q. Let me. I will slow down a little bit just to see your movements a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, that's good. You know your damage. Okay. By the way, Yasuo is a lane bull, you know. You're very passive, and I don't feel like Swain is particularly strong at level 2, so this is confusing me a little bit. That you're not actually trying to make any threats in the lane. Basically, you're very passive, and I don't feel like this is necessary for you. Because Yasuo is really strong in the early game. he's actually falling off gradually because CC is hard countering him so much. I know the damage in which he's scaling is really good, but he's really oppressive in the early game due to his dashes and his Qs, even against ranged champions. So we see this weird situation happening with Rek'Sai, Darius, and Swain. Swain actually moved before you, which you might not want to allow, but I feel like this whole situation is very strange anyway, because you're not really strong on level 3, Eve is not really strong on level 3, Fiora is not strong on level 3, Darius is strong, Rek'Sai is pretty okay, Swain is a little bit weird. Oh, he actually put 2 points into Q. That's actually very smart, because the W is a pretty shitty spell. So I am not sure actually if you should even help there. I feel like when you use this stuff going on there, because Fiora is pretty dead anyway, right? I mean, you can do a lot here because you don't have a knockup, and you probably didn't even... Oh, you actually skilled Windwall. I feel like Windwall is a little bit strange to actually skill it in that matchup because you have nothing to Windwall, right? So I feel like you could have used a second point into Q or E. But that aside, I don't see how you do a lot here. So I feel like pushing mid out and just getting mid control for this is way better, and just pinging Eve away and yeah, letting Fiora die for her own sins pretty much. And obviously Darius or Rek'Sai will get the kill most likely, and your Swain gets a 75 gold assist, and he will however not have any gold lead because he loses the minions, and he loses the minions in exchange, and you get the shove in, which obviously allows you to get a good recall, or to just exhaust his mana pool a little bit more and freeze you up a little, and gives you a good time to actually get a ward in, because we obviously don't know the side where Rek'Sai is, so you could like put a wand out here or here. So you have like multiple options, but I feel like actually committing in here is never a good option. Oh, actually the Swain ends up the kill. With the kill, it's a little bit unlucky for you. I mean, you see, like, you had no impact there. I would change my decision if you would, like, play a champion with CC where you could actually help a little. But this way you're not really like, your chances of helping there are very slim. And in addition, you're sending the message, like, this is a little bit, I call this the body language in League, right? So by coming in, by trying to assist, or by showing that you want to assist, you are like signaling your teammates to handshake the fight, or to just like not give it up in a way. So like your Evelynn is way more tempted to try to help here, instead when you would just stay mid lane and ping them away. And then we could have like just sacrificed this one kill, which is not really a problem because Fiora is very well scaling anyway, and we shouldn't like worry about our teammates too much, because when the Fiora is like bad, she won't carry anyway, and we have to learn, and we have to get strong on ourselves to hold the Darius in check. And if she's really good, and if she's pretty good, then she will be able to safely farm under the tower now as well, regardless if Darius is 1-0 or not, because people in the silo just push all the time anyway. And I mean, freezing in the silo is a catastrophe on its own. So and not because people can't do it, just because freezing is not a very wise choice in the silo very often. So you could have prevented a lot of problems happening here just by getting mid. Okay, let's continue the lane. Yeah, still very passive. I feel like considering that we know that Rek'Sai is top lane, you could, if you want to play it safe, you should play more in this pocket, like this angle, especially because it doesn't allow Swain so easily to hit Qs and harass you. I mean, he's not very proficient in that anyway, but still, by playing in this pocket, you make it harder for him, so he has to position himself up, and when he positions himself up, he's obviously a little bit more exposed to Evelynn gank, which will obviously not come, because Evelynn doesn't want to gank right now. She wants to farm up, but still, this is a little bit more dangerous of a pocket for him. And it's just an habit on how you position yourself, and if you would have a jungler with more early game strength, like, for instance, Elias or something, then this would be pretty already way more dangerous for him. Yeah, so you should position yourself more down just to be safe of the Rek'Sai coming in. Playing here mid-centric is actually kind of risky without proper warding, and you don't really ward at that game so far because we have no knowledge. Like, instead of going for the golems, he could just have like moved from the red buff down here, right? And then he would be in a spot now to gank you, and this would be pretty annoying, right? So you have to be a little bit careful there, because even when he just blows your flash, it's already a big loss, right? Okay, you take a little bit initiative, but this is very risky, as I said, because we don't have intel on Rek'Sai. What's your gold? Okay, you have 700. You would prefer to keep the wave shoved, right? Because you have a gold. He has a gold lead over you, right? Because of this weird stuff going on here. So due to this gold lead, what he can do is he can just keep shove the wave, and he is like he is on 400, 500 gold edge over you. So he has a 400, 500 gold edge, which you can use to get a better recall timing, in addition to his teleport anyway. So when you not keep the lane pushed, and so he gets a pretty free recall in, you are forced to recall as well, right? But you have to buy for 700 gold or 800 gold or 900 gold, and you will not really be able to get something really good or something worthwhile, while he will get an important piece of his core item. So you're then in a big disadvantage at the lane. So you want to keep that lane pressured, obviously, but taking into account where Rek'Sai could be and playing around the jungler, so you don't want to suicide. Suiciding as a mid lane is really bad. Dying as a mid lane is one of the worst things you can do to lose a game quickly. I mean, this is basic strategy, basic positional thinking. The center of the map is the most important piece, right? The bottom side is, in the early game, the most important area, but the most important lane from a pure strategic point of view is the mid lane, because from the mid lane you can control the whole map. So when you die on the mid lane, you give so much up. So you want to be safe, but pure lane wise, pushing is the right choice right now, because you don't want to allow the Swain to get a recall in, which is like setting you far behind. You're obviously lucky that Eve is, with her proximity to mid lane, is a little bit covering for you. Now we see Rek'Sai. You use your Q for wave clear. That's good. Sven is not really attempting to recall, so as long as this is the case, you're fine. What you can do, because we know where Rek'Sai is, what you can do is, like, you can wait. You can like step pretty deep in. Like, you can actually do two things. You can walk up, and then you can create the wind wall like here, right? So he's forced to go a little bit up in front of the wind wall to last it. And then you can stay here, mentally pressuring him. And if he's halfway good, he will realize that it's just mental pressure, because he can't obviously dive in on level 5. But what he will eventually do is he will give you a Q and an auto attack. This will not really hurt you because of your passive, right? But because of the auto attack, these minions will start to aggro him, and this will cost him around 100 HP. And if you do this like twice, then he's a kill range for you. So you force him into an unfavorable recall at that point, and his teleport will be away. And you will win his teleport for it, and you will have a good recall. Then you recall and you go on the lane, and you pretty much have it for 5 minutes. You have a summoner spell advantage on him, because your exhaust is obviously giving you a bigger edge in the 1v1 than his teleport, which is on cooldown then anyway. Okay, so you pretty much negated his advantage in lane rhythm kinda, which he can generate with the teleport. So you negated that by forcing him to use it just to salvage the lane and keep his gold lead. And then you can use the advantage in lane pressure the exhaust is giving you to actually win the lane. This was just the perfect window for it, because we knew exactly where Rek'Sai was. I'm not very confident in how Yasuo should itemize at the moment, but I assume you want to pick up a seal. I don't know why you're so passive, or you might be passive because we don't know where Rek'Sai is. But But recalling here is not very nice for us, right? But it's very bad for him, so I guess we're fine. I guess playing defensive there is fine as well, but it's a little bit awkward that we have to ease the tension there, because it just allows him to get the slow push in, and now he's a big minion wave, so we won't really trade him. His E will get the level 6 before us, so he will get the good shove, and he will not be forced to use his teleport. To actually go back to lane, and so we kind of lost a little bit on momentum here and possible advantage. In addition, because his flash is down, and we should know that because we should have looked there while the skirmish where he blew it. We should know that his flash is down and that we have the exhaust advantage. And I feel like because his mana is low as well, and because the new Swain W is a complete joke, that you should probably be able to force a recall on him. Like, I feel like you could be more aggressive in the 1v1 here. And because he has no mana, you might actually be able to do it even while you're not very certain where Rek'Sai is. Okay. But it's the first time you used the wind wall in the lane, which just shows that scaling it on level 3 was probably not the right decision. Okay. I think the biggest use you can actually get out of the wind wall is actually to screw up with his positioning under tower by forcing him to be too offensive. Okay, but you get the good shove. I mean, he misplayed it kinda, but it was because of his mana and because he didn't really play with his jungler together. So he still has to teleport, which is good for us. I guess you're even in CS with him. No, actually a little bit up. That's good. You get your seal, you get your boots, you get a health pot. That's good. On bot we have some action. I'm not so concerned with that. Okay, you go there. Okay, now I'm a little bit more concerned. This is not really good, because they don't have to accept this fight. It actually looks like they will not accept it anyway, because they're on the losing end of the trade anyway. So going down there is just like... it's a wish that there is some crazy thing happening where you can pick up an assist or something. But there is no reason for you to go down there and sacrifice 4 minions or something just to give your team a high five, basically. So see that your opponents are not forced to take the fight anymore. They will not take the fight most likely. Go mid lane, pick up the CS, get a good push. Keep on winning your lane, you know? That's your job. You're a lane bully, right? Yasuo's scaling isn't that amazing against team comps with enough CC, and they have plenty, so don't allow yourself to pretty much don't allow yourself to fall behind, but to go even, you know? Like when you go even in the mid lane in Diamond 5, you're just doing something completely wrong. Okay, now just leave. But yeah, that's good. I feel like you're a little bit slow on it in your retreat. But getting his ultimate, which has a nice cooldown now, it's nearly 2 minutes, which you should know, as I said. And getting it, and now you could actually be aggressive. Like, now already, aggression. By the way, you are not buying control wards, which is really poor. Okay, that's interesting. That's good. I don't know if you know that, but it's a very common thing in Korea of high elo Yasuo players that they will like go into the lane, start laning phase, and the first thing they do if their opponent does like not crazy CC, crazy sustain, and they can allow it, is that they will just immediately use her. The wind wall is, oh no, because of skew, right? So they will immediately use their ultimate on their opponents because your ultimate cooldown is pretty short, right? So they use it just to gain lane control and lane dominance pretty much, and lane priority, and then they will just use it 1 minute later to actually secure the kill if the opponent if the opponent is overstepping. So you should probably think about situations where you can do that as well. Okay, your wind wall usage, I don't know if you can actually block the C, I'm not sure. But if you can, your wind wall usage is a little bit questionable. Obviously this comes down to this unfavorable position comes basically down to your inefficiency in movements and spacing, and because you're not really making a good usage of your passive to actually sustain you through the lane. Losing the big one there is pretty poor. You get these minions, you should just ping your team back. There's no way she's winning that. And now push, 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 push with vision. Why take the unfavorable way of recall? Just push that. Then you have a perfect recall. Because this Swain is so greedy for kills that he is completely stupid in his rotation. Punish him for it. Force him to lose 4 minions, maybe the whole wave, and wave position, because he's doing that stupid stuff. Because we can see him. There's no reason for you to recall now. Because we have vision on all the opponents which are dangerous. So why do that? Do you have your... Okay, you're itemized towards the Phantom Dancer. Still no control board. I feel like you have to anticipate. Yeah, that's good. Okay, you can block it, so this makes it before even worse. Yeah, just like here you can immediately all in on him very easily. He has no mana. Just give him an ultimate, give him some good attacks. You don't have to be threatened of a 95 mana Swain. You just don't have to. No reason. Without ultimate. You can even ping here just for the jungler. You have to be way more confident. Like you have to take more information into account than just your HP bar, so to say. There are more things. Okay, good job. I think you didn't ping help. I think this came... Eve initiated the gank, but you should be the initiator of the gank. Because it's obviously good timing for the gank. Okay, there's the control ward. We take it. We don't need the scuttle. The scuttle isn't really adding value, right? If you know what I mean. Like, go mid lane, get another shove, and then the recall, or recall immediately, because right now the wave would have been okay-ish to recall, even while not perfect. Okay, that's not really working. Right? Because this wave is not in a great position. You will lose you will lose more minions than necessary. Go up there, shove the wave, and recall. I know it's not perfect, but it's not a big problem, right? Because we know, or we should know, that Swain has no flash. We should definitely know his flash cooldown. And we know that Swain has no ultimate. So the chances that he can actually be so sticky and dominant in lane after re-entering, especially when he itemizes into a Rod of Ages, which we can obviously see because he bought the Catalyst, right? He will not be able to dominate it, right? So go up there and get the favorable shove in on the mid lane, because there are a lot of minions here, and when he shoves that in, you are suddenly forced to defend mid lane. You're not really free to go. You can't just go mid or top while you come out of base because something is happening, or you can't actually fight him because there's so much minions which you have under the tower and you have to take them. And Swain is completely freed up in that moment to roam top, to roam mid lane, to Rift Herald. You know, he generates a lot of map pressure by doing so. So this would be a very good moment for you to get the shove in, recall, and then in the time you recall and run back to the base with perfect vision on Swain because he has to shove the wave out again. And so while you are not actively on the map, Swain is at least so revealed that he's not causing a threat on your team. So you have to take that into account, because if you play like that, taking into account what your opponents can do in the windows you're giving them, and just shortening these windows, this doesn't allow them to just cause so much trouble, and it will really ease up the game for your teammates. And then your teammates will win more often as well, and makes your life so much easier. Like, see that he's creating a threat on bot lane to actually dive them. If he's smart, what he does is, like, he goes down there, and then he places a control board here. And yeah, now the Scuttle Crab obviously comes to play. Now it's helping us. But still, he can actually just go through and threaten the dive. And we have Rakan, good CC. With Tristana, good damage. With Swain, good tankiness. Yeah, this dive is real. They could force, and with Rex as comeback, and we have this huge wave, which is obviously slowing down your push. So they could like force the dive, and if your bot lane is like greedy, they both die and lose the tower, or they just lose the tower because you're very delayed in your follow-up, right? So if he's smart, very, very easy and effective play with the bot lane rotation. But he's not. He dies. Good play from your Eve. Obviously good from you to follow it up properly. Your bot lane dies. Somehow. Yeah, you get the push mid. That's good. You see the minion wave coming in here, so you should kite in already and proxy the wave, okay? Because you can't down the tower with that, we have vision of the opponents. And yeah, just dive him, right? Full HP, exhaust, just dive him. Go in. Like, what should he do? If you use immediately if you have flash and exhaust, like you're not using your summoner spells at all, and you're not trying to do stuff. This is really, that's the weird thing, right? You're not really trying to do anything in the early game. Like you're only, all you want to do pretty much is like farm up and chill your lane, right? And this is an interesting idea. Like it's very defensive, but if you play with that mentality all the time, it's obviously you will not be the Yasuo who goes 110 all the time, which is great. But the problem is you will just not learn. Like you will rarely win lanes just on your own accord without your jungler, and this is not good, especially when you play an early game champion or an champion which has so much early game force like Yasuo. Okay, Rakan is pressuring now. That's the reason, by the way, why you don't gank losing lanes. Yeah, I don't know why you don't want to use your wind wall. Like, if you use your wind wall, you're completely fine there, right? So, this is mechanical stuff, which is poor. Like, you have to learn to deal with that kind of stuff. If you're a Yasuo, people will come on your lane, just out of principle. And it will happen every second game that you have to losing bot lane. And when you have to losing bot lane in this elo, supports will show up. And so you have to learn to defend against them and not give them any window to do stuff like that. So you have to be really good at your wind wall, and you have to be really good in your movements if you really want to play Yasuo. I mean, and it's not an easy life. Yasuo mains have a really hard life. By the way, I'm not sure why you play Exhaust against Swain. I mean, wouldn't Ignite be really nice? You know, against his ultimate? No? Or Teleport. With Teleport you could at least split push, but I guess Teleport in this specific situation isn't that great, because normally you can expect Fiora to take the split pushing. And so you could like focus on team fighting, and you could play some bruiser Yasuo maybe, where you go pretty tanky, so your Varus has a... where you get like some tank stuff as well, like Frozen Mallet. I don't know how strong these ways of Yasuo are right now, but it would feel interesting, because your Varus could like in a lot of situations deal out a lot of damage. And you can't really do all the damage because it's too easy for them to control you in the team fight. And when you would be tanky, like maybe you actually get a Sterak's Cage or so, then you could at least free up your Varus to melt their front line. Okay, good wind wall. So this might be intriguing, because Fiora will not be the front line, right? She wants to split push, normally. I mean, in this game it's all a little bit weird, because it's very one-sided top lane. So maybe she should go more tanky. And you go into split pushing, but we don't have the teleport for it, so this is a problem. In general, because you're so far behind, you should focus on just chilling, wave clearing anyway, get this in, get the gold rolling, keep the gold rolling in, be very glad that the Drake spawns aren't that amazing, no Infernal Drake so far, no Mountain Drake, first Cloud Drake, and yeah, pretty much stall out the game, wait them to screw up, don't go too far out, and yeah, just wait for them, and wait for a 3-man Yasuo ultimate, win 2 Varus ultimate, and such things. Yeah, like exactly this. We searched for exactly that. Get these kills. Very good. And now we hopefully don't overchase, because they're still far away, far ahead, right? So get back on the lanes, keep the gold coming, keep the lanes shoved, so even when someone of your team get picked, they can just take objectives. Good. Get the farm. Look at your Janna. See, she gets picked, we take that farm, we leave the lane. Yeah, your Varus is a little bit of a clown. He actually gets up, but do you see that? Like, even while they're in a... Okay, don't die for their sins, okay? But see, like, these minions running out there, like, their push is really delayed, and now Janna is actually up again. So they will not be able to take in tower. Nia Fiora actually is bot lane, which is really smart of her, just being bot. Pressuring the tower, getting the gold in. So this is good. And yeah, you have to wave clear as well and use your wind wall very smartly. Prevent push from happening. Yeah, you should claim that farm for yourself. Fiora manages to not die on Tristana, which is great. You get a recall in. Yeah. Okay. I will, because we are now in mid-game, I will limit our feud to what you see, just so I have a feeling for the Fog of War. Okay, so you never want to be surrounded by Fog of War when you're behind, right? This is the philosophy we want to follow. So this is like the last bit of area we can like agree on. This is okay. If you go here, you will die, or you will be hugely threatened, especially when Darius picks up a Righteous Glory or someone else. Not the case yet, probably in the future. Okay. Like when Varus is attempting something like this, ping him back immediately, quickly. Don't allow him to do that. And then go yourself, go top lane, pick up the farm, or go bot lane, pick up the farm. You have to be coordinated a little bit with your Fiora there, but you have to pick up the farm. And don't be silly on yourself. Every little bit of Fog of War on the map is a death sentence for you at the moment, because you're that behind. And then shit like this is happening, where you have no chance of winning, and they can generate a lot of gold, and now they will pick up the Nash, and now they can actually win. People are very pathetic in this elo to actually win games. They're uncoordinated, they tilt easily when the game is not going the way they want it. So they are not good. Not at all. Oh, the Nash isn't up yet, but they get the Herald, and they get the mid tower. So when you don't give them any tools to actually win the game, like with these big multi-kills into objectives, they will make huge mistakes, especially when the ADC of them is not an ADC main. Like, ADC are pathological in that, to overstep when they are not mains. I like that, but why? Just pick up the wolf camp, pick up the bot farm. I mean, why? Why wait? This lane is so long. We have so much time to go somewhere, do something, and come back. Yeah, now you do it, but now you're fighting with your Fiora about it. I mean, I don't know. Oh, she's pissed. I assume you flamed her in the chat, and now she's pissed about you. Right? Yeah, pretty sure. Amazing. That's the reason we don't write. Because then shit like this is happening. Yeah, like, don't help her, like... Oh wait, never mind. Let me review. Let me rewind here. I'm not sure how smart this is, to be honest, right? Okay. I mean, how aware are you that all the opponents are entering a team fight there, you know? And even when you're aware of that, how sure can you be that they not move upwards and start to surround you? So this is kind of risky, But we have vision of the opponent, so it's still fine. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. Now we don't have vision, and like we do get the kill. I think it's very good for you that you were able to use the blasting plant, but still you lose a mid tower. So I feel like pinging her away and going base there is better, because you don't want to actually sacrifice objectives like these, because you make their life so easy finishing that game, and you want to make it really damn complicated so they have way more room to slip up, right? So. Okay. Okay, don't play with fire, right? Like, fog of war, man. Danger. We see the Rexa, actually. This is dangerous. And how do you kill her? You kill her if you cancel her. You kill her in this situation because we have to assume she has flash. I mean, she has it, but so you can't know that she doesn't have it, right? And when we are not sure if an ADC, especially when they are ahead, has flash, assume they have it. So by going in there, you have to be like, okay, if I want to kill her, I have to cancel her jump with my knockup. I have to W her ultimate. I have to somehow manage with the minion wave to counter her flash. You should actually assume that she is healed as well if you don't know that it's down. And then you have to take into consideration, we have 3 people. No, wait, we don't know where Darius is. So you have to assume that he is in proximity. And we know that Rexa is near, so we have to kill her before Rexa is making his move and is knocking us up and gives her the chance of freely auto-attacking us. And then you have to ask yourself the question, can we do that with an Evelynn who is obviously very behind? And can you mechanically manage to do all these things? And the answer is like, I'm not so sure, so... Okay, you actually not commit there. It's good that you're not greedy, but still, why do we play with fire? Rek'Sai is here. Darius could be somewhere, right? Like why play so hard with fire? Okay, and you actually go in, and yeah, you get punished for it. You actually make it out. But yeah. You're losing a lot of HP. And that's big, because now you're wounded. Janna nearly dies. It's all a little bit awkward. And they wound your team even more, and they have a big priority in mid lane, and they can just go to the Infernal, pick it up. I mean, they can pick it up even without wounding you, so... Okay, but you're doing this stuff, and like in this game it works out, and in the next game it might work out as well, but like in another game you die there, or you have to blow a summoner spell or something. In an equal position, and that's just unnecessary, right? Play it safe and let the opponent slip up, but not create a lot of opportunities where you slip up yourself, probably. Okay, they go bot. I think yeah, Varus did something okay-ish there, probably. And yeah, they will easily pick up the tower, I assume. I don't know their HP bars completely. Oh, I actually know, but I didn't pay too much attention, and you don't know as well. Okay, they didn't want to, so they recall, hopefully, reset, get some wards in this jungle, and then they will Nash. So we know that they will do that. So we can put in some wards. We actually have a little bit of ward coverage, but we could put up some more as well, get our own recalls in, get the mid lane shaft out. You're doing that, so that's good. Be very quick about it. Get every auto attack you have, and then start to control Nash a little, because you might most likely have to give up Nash, but that doesn't mean that you have to give it to them easily, right? Like, don't make the life easy. That's what we do when we are behind. There is no direct way of winning when you're behind. That's pretty much what it means to be behind, right? It means that the opponents can finish the game if they play flawless from that point on. So if they play flawless, there's no chance that you win when you're actually behind. So considering gold lead and scaling of both teams, and when we take these variables into account and they are ahead, then when they don't make any mistakes anymore, they will automatically win, right? Pretty much. So that's what it means to play from behind, to pray or to hope, and it's less hoping, but it's more waiting for them to make a slip up, which is allowing you to punish them and close the gap. So, and we do that by creating situations which are complicated for them, which are not easy for them, right? It's harder to finish a game 5v5 than when they can easily pick one of you and then they just run your base down. So, yeah. Now you got the mid shove, your jungler died, so you will lose Nash, but we can like attack the Nash by now recalling and shoving top lane out. We just shoved mid lane, we can shove top lane, we can shove bot lane. Just get the lanes shoved, so as soon as they have the Nash, and they will pick it up now, that they can't push. Like this wave, this is big, that's a lot of gold. You have to hurry, you have to be really quick now. Because when the Nash is around that, this minion wave is a huge threat. Right now it's just free gold, so pick it up quickly. It's good that you moved there. You could actually ping the bot lane as well, right? I don't know what your Janna is doing. Probably she's tilted already. You should have pinged the Fiora to pick up the bot wave. Or actually, it's slow pushing. Never mind. So, okay. I mean, it's a really, honestly, it's a boring mid and late game. Because all we have to do is defend. And that's what you do, right? You wave clear, you pick up jungle camps, you stay back, you wait, you ping your team to not die. It's a little bit boring. But that's what you do. There's nothing else you can do. That's just the definition of playing from behind. So we get the clear, we pick up more minions. We can go top lane, we want to go top lane, but it's really threatening, right? Fog of War again. This is Fog of War. You can ping your Evelyn back. I don't know what she's doing. You actually switch to blue trinket. I like that a lot. You should actually buy control wards. You're not buying control wards. This is really bad. You're in Diamond 5, man. I'm telling gold players to buy control wards, which is kind of a waste, but they have to learn it. And you're a Diamond, right? So learn to place control wards. Here a control ward, here a control ward, here a control ward, you know, doesn't really matter. Play them very defensively just so you have a line of vision which is allowing you to use your own jungle. Because right now you couldn't even take that minion wave with a clear mind pretty much, because people could wait here, they could wait here, they could wait here, right? They could be everywhere and they could just catch you. And as soon as they catch you, they have the 5v4 they wanted, they have the Nash buff, so all they have to do then is to brute force the second inhib. And with 2 inhibs down, yeah, things get really ugly. It's okay, they can pick it up because there are no opponents, but it's super risky. Instead, your Eve is dying. Okay, now we have vision. Push the mid. I mean, you're doing fine, and your teammates do multiple slip-ups because they are tilted, obviously. But you have to ping them, right? Keep them in line. See them as, like, visualize them as NPCs. Yeah, look at them like as they're NPCs, and you have to say them what they have to do, right? Okay, so now they are brute forcing this. I guess you have to concede that, because you not really have the tools to defend that. Oh, actually, 4-man Yasuo ulti, really nice, very good. Nice, very good. I mean, that's exactly what we want, right? We want them to screw up, and they screwed up big time here. They all died. It was a 5-for-2 trade, and you get the mid, and there are minions available. And these minions can be cleared. So that's really good. That's the way you carry, right? Chilling, pinging your team a lot, keeping them in line, and then landing these kind of abilities. That's one of the reasons why I love Orianna in solo queue, right? Because she's this gigantic ultimate, she's really safe, she has this very reliable wave clear to completely turn around the game. So that's the reason I love her. But you have like the same ultimate pretty much on Yasuo. You actually went into the Bruiser variation, which I think is really smart. Because we don't have a front line. Maybe you should actually get more tankiness a little bit more. Just to enable your Varus a little bit more. Depends on how the game is playing out, right? So if you can like stall it 10 minutes more, then I think being a little more, or even more a little bit tanky on Yasuo would be very helpful. For now, you can maybe actually stay in the you can keep the damage that we have. You give up the inhib, which is good that you don't fight it, because it would have been a big risk. If you lose the team fight there, you lose the game. If you just give up the mid inhib, it's not such a big of a deal, because you just lose a Cloud Drake. And you might actually eventually lose the Nash again, which is annoying because Nash is pretty strong after the buffs, but they already showed that they are able to lose teamfights even with Nash. Okay, let's rewatch that. In normal tempo. Damn, I need more water. Okay, you go in very aggressively. Let's... Sorry, I was just drinking a mouthful. Okay, the vision of Tristana. We see you getting in, you see 2 people. You have to imagine that there are 3 people here. We know that Rexa is there, but I assume you didn't really see that. So we have to assume that 3 people are there, or at least 2, if we take into account that Rexa is there. So don't get cocky, man. You're still behind. You're still very, very behind. You won 1 team fight because you did like a 4-man Yasuo ultimate. Which is good, but don't get cocky, man. See? When Yasuo is there like 2 seconds earlier, which you could, then this is even more one-sided. And even this way, you pretty much lose the game. And that's on you, right? I mean, can you see that this is on you? I hope you can see it. Because this obviously looks like one of these games like, how am I supposed to carry it? Yeah, you're supposed to not do things like that, so your opponents can throw. But you just enabled your opponents to take 2 of your Nexus towers for free. And maybe the game. So, really big blunder. Yeah. Is this actually game? Ah, it shouldn't. Okay, your exhaust comes in. He dies. Okay. I mean, Eve does 0 damage. You play the mid out again. Classic defensive game. Very easy. Not really seeing a lot of pings of you. You have to communicate, man. One of the reasons why games in Korea are so much more... Like in Korea, the macro level is so much higher in solo queue. It's way more higher. And it's not only because the players are just in general stronger, which is the case, but in addition they ping so much, there's so much communication. They don't chat a lot, but they ping so much and they are so on point in their pinging. So like they have... The way Koreans ping is so much more precise. Like when you have a missing laner, right, you might ping missing. But in Korea, people are like pinging the lane missing and exactly where he's going down. So they ping like miss, 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 miss. And I'm just doing it on the map. So I'm doing it on the screen right now, so you can see. But they obviously have the mouse speed and accuracy to do it on the map very quickly. So they're like in 1 second, they completely signalized where the opponent is, where he's coming from. And it's really effective. So their pinging in the early game is really on point, and in the mid and late game it's huge. As long as the decisions are not very obvious. And obviously in Challenger a lot of things get more obvious, and so they will not ping it anymore. But you're in Diamond 5 and you're West here, so these people, they don't know about not stepping out of the fog of war, because fog of war means death in these situations and these game types. So you have to ping them that they don't do that, and you have to ping them to defend the right lanes at the right moment and keep them shoved and make the opponent's life very hard, you know. That's the way you prevent people getting picked all the time. Okay, it's not as bad as it looked like. I mean, you lose 2 inhibs, which is shitty, and then you will lose Nash. But you still have like a lifeline of 6 minutes or so if you play smart, and in these 6 minutes your opponents can still lose the game because they can still fuck up. So just use these 6 minutes and be smart about them. And don't do something silly. And if they finish the game in the next 6 minutes, yeah, you could have done anything, to be honest. Yeah, okay, now it's game. Now it's actually game. Like this, like the Eve managed to cut the window from 6 minutes to 1 minute, pretty much. see that? Like, the opponents are doing really weird stuff. They, like, dive you, and they run into these weird situations where they could actually, like, lose eventually if you get a really good Yasuo ulti in and if the Varus ultimate is connecting. So they were not good. So if you can drag that game out longer and wait longer to get stuff done, like, or make their life way harder, you would eventually win that. Okay, so overall, I want to give you a little bit of summary of the game. Overall, what do I think? First of all, I think you were very self-disciplined in the mid and late game. You had these slip-ups which generated enormous issues, right? Like on the bot lane where you go in there and you initiate this big fight. But in general, the way you played passive, safe, and you just cleared minion waves all the time and you stayed farming, that's good. I think it's good that you're not extremely greedy. I think this is good as well, because you don't look like you are actually very bloodthirsty all the time and all you do is playing for kills. So I think that's good. What I see as a major issue of yours is that in the early game, it doesn't look like you try actually to make progress in the lane, that you're not actually trying to push your limits and try to be aggressive and use the early dominance of Yasuo. You seem like more the guy who is playing passively and you're waiting to farm up and become strong. And that's a way you can obviously win in solo queue, but that's not the way you get better. Only by pushing your limits and trying to fight, trying to get better at laning. You know, this is the only way you actually figure out how you can improve your lane and how you can actually get actual advantages. I mean, you won this Vayne lane not because you were the better player mainly, you won because your other lane ganked you 3 times, and Swain failed to counter it with wards and with right positioning. And these ganks you got, you're not even called them, you're not even pinged them yourself, but like your Evelyn just had good awareness that it's a good time to gank. And by not attacking in the early game, by not creating pressure, you're losing out on a lot of. You're not enabling your team as much as you can, because when you play a strong mid lane and you're actually creating pressure, you're enabling your teammates to do a lot of stuff. I have like this classic mid lane example for that. Maybe this will help you. So let's say you're pushing mid lane. This is just a very easy cookie cutter example on how mid lane pressure can snowball. So what you do on mid lane is you push the wave, right? So you push this wave out very quickly. So what does this do? Your opponent is suddenly forced to CS under the tower for 1 wave, right? So he's revealed on the map. We know where he is. He's forced to do a certain activity of farming under the tower. And you can leave the lane for a moment without losing minions and experience. So that's good. So you leave the lane and you place a control ward here. Control ward. Yes, that's the second point. You're not buying control wards, which I think is really bad. In an era where people are capitalizing on vision already a little bit at least. So you're placing a control ward here. And by doing so, you're obviously disabling all the vision in this area. And what you're doing is you're threatening the bot lane, right? You're actually creating a threat of going down bot lane. And the opponent's bot lane, who has to take that into consideration, are not allowed anymore to be extremely over-aggressive and trade their flashes or go in there with their gap closes, right? They have to be a little bit more passive, maybe step back a little bit. Depends on which level you do that. But let's say they have to go back a little at least. They have to be a little bit careful. Maybe not very careful because they have wards and they're pretty safe, but still they are not allowed to be over-aggressive at that point. In your bot lane, however, your bot lane is very fine because obviously you are as a mid laner, you're in this area, you're in closer proximity now, so they can be a little bit more aggressive, which allows them to push the lane out as well, right? So what happens? We have 2 lanes with pressure suddenly. So you have 2 pressuring lanes, and what happens now is that your jungler can go in into the opponent's jungle, and he can place wards here, right? Because your mid lane is under the tower. Bot lane is under the tower, so when they leave the lane to go into the jungle and try to catch your jungler, they will lose a lot of minions, so they will not do that because you have lane priority, or they will try to avoid that. So even when he is like found, it won't be such a big problem because he will most likely just go away again. So we have no wards here. So what do you do again in a minute? You push the lane again. and now you're leaving again. And this threatens the bot lane opponents of a dive, right? Because you have perfect vision now on this jungle. So you know you can like plan this in a way so you're doing that when the opponent's jungle is not bot side. And your jungle is bot side though. So you're pushing the lane and now you go into the river. And the opponent's bot lane is really threatened now because they see their jungler is top side or base. And you are missing and they don't know where the opponent's jungler, your jungler is. Or they actually know that your jungler is bot lane, which makes it even worse. So they have to back off because the threat of a dive is too big. So they back off. And this allows your team obviously to attack the tower or attack the Drake. And in some situations actually take over both, right? So by just pushing the lane, getting a control within, and pushing the lane again, you can actually force things like towers and dragons, and actually enabling your team a lot. In addition, when you push the lane, you're obviously inviting the opponent's jungler to attack you, and especially because you're a Yasuo main, opponent's jungler love to gank you because they are frightened of Yasuo's getting fed and ahead. So you're actually drawing attention, and all the time the opponent's jungler is on your lane and not in other lanes. Obviously, your other lanes have a higher chance of succeeding, right? So by playing aggressive and the pressure game correctly, but not breaking under it, because obviously if you start feeding or doing something, you're obviously creating more harm than you actually gain anything. But if you can like hold the pressure and deal with the pressure properly, and drag all and let the opponents focus you down instead of your teammates. So you're deceiving them away, or like you're dragging them away from the actual weak spots of your team, because you have to imagine that your teammates are the weak spots of your team, and so they attack you, and you have to be so strong that you don't crumble under the pressure, and then you will have winning lanes way more often. This is actually how Faker plays. Faker loves to play in this pocket when he plays aggressive, and just keep and just allow the opponents to gank him, but still survive it. And this way he's just enabling his teammates to win the game for him eventually, even while he doesn't do a whole lot, or it doesn't look like he does a lot, but he's like soaking up all this pressure. And obviously in high elo this works it works better to a certain degree, because lanes are more because lanes can just use the jungler better, but it doesn't change the fact that by pure rules of statistics, this works at low elo as well. Like on a sample size of 10 games, your teammates will just win more games, win their lane more often if the opponent's jungler isn't helping them as much, right? So, okay, that's pressure. And that's the reason why you have to learn to dominate in the early game already, especially on a pick like Yasuo, so that your teammates are just way more enabled to do stuff, and you have more winning lanes, and so that you can actually generate bigger advantages as well in the lane. And then you will have mid games where you're actually ahead. And when you're going ahead into a mid game and you're good at pinging and leading your team, it's very easy to win games normally, because opponents will tilt from that early game, and then they will get caught, and then you will just do an objective and you will systematically destroy the map, right? So, okay, that was the VOD review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a basic idea where your problems are now. Have a wonderful day and luck in solo queue. And I hope you can figure your Yasuo out a little bit better and climb higher. So, see ya.